what we're going to do here is roll this clip of Jim Acosta interviewing
Oh God. Oh
the
my God.
AI. Yeah, you've been on this, Michael, and it's exactly tied into what you were just talking about. And I think it's something you said the pro-life people were right. Well, the core of the pro-life argument is that at the moment of conception, and people can disagree in the science, but at the moment of conception, you have a new piece of unique human DNA that is alive. Therefore, you have a human life, in other words. And so anything that happens after that point, this is my perspective, is ending a human life. And the reason that's important as technology increases, I shouldn't say increases, but as technology shifts, is that you actually end up devaluing the sanctity of a unique human life. So let's roll S1 and just buckle up if you haven't seen this yet.
Joaquin, I would like to know what your solution would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, Joaquin.
So that was an AI rendering of Joaquin, one of the kids who was killed, I believe, when he was 17 in the Parkland school shooting. Now, the parents of Joaquin are gun control activists and gave Jim Acosta permission to interview, I won't say their son, though some in media have said their son, because that is not their son. That's not fully human, and it's deeply uncomfortable to watch. Michael, we can, of course, put ourselves in the shoes of the parents to the best of our ability and say, they're looking for comfort. People don't always look for comfort in the right places, and this seems very obviously to be an example of that.
They're not looking for comfort at all. They're waving their son's corpse around for political purposes. A couple of things. Let me go off on this, because this really bothered me. First of all, why is anyone listening to a teenager's opinions about gun rights at all?
Well, we don't even know that they would have been his opinions.
But even if
that's what's so messed up.
Even if they are his opinions, who cares? Some high schooler has opinions about gun issues. I don't care. Why should I care? That makes no sense. Number one. Number two is, if there's one thing teenage boys like, it's repeating what their parents told them to say. Like, what? What are you talking about? I did the same thing. I took the son, and it's on my Twitter. I animated him, and he said, "Mom, Dad, please let me rest. Propaganda doesn't come from heaven, it comes from hell." I'm going to start going darker with it, because to exploit your dead son for political purposes is in such a stupid way. It is so horrific. It's like almost like Munchausen's with a corpse. And for Jim, the idea that, here's the other thing that's crazy. If like you and I like kind of interviewed Siri, maybe we didn't know what she'd say, but this script was programmed. So it's not an interview if you know what the person is going to even say. It would make more sense for him to interview Grok, because Grok at least generates it spontaneously. This was a script.
And Acosta, Glenn Greenwald pointed this out, Acosta has gotten basically across the board like bipartisan revulsion in reaction to his stunt. And I think that's interesting. I don't know if you've seen something similar. It's always hard to tell because we're all in our own little bubbles. But have you seen something similar to that? And do you think it's important that it was at least ostensibly sort of bipartisan revulsion at what happened here?
So, I'm going to use a slightly vulgar word.
By all means.
You know how much of a bad person you have to be the biggest prick at CNN? Like, look who you're compared to. And he was. And they drove him out of town in a rail. They tried to move him to LA, even though he's like the politics correspondent. And they gave him like a morning slot, and they basically forced him to quit because they were just sick of his BS. People here watching this might remember during the first term when Acosta's in the Oval Office with, I think, Trump was president of Turkmenistan, one of the stands. I'm sorry, I don't remember the guys. Uzbekistan, one of them. And Acosta goes, "Oh, do you want more immigrants?" He goes, "I want them to come from everywhere." And he's like, "You mean the white country, sir? Not the," and Trump just goes out. And it's like, you're humiliating the president in front of a foreign leader for what? For your own like S's and giggles? Like, you're a bad person. And the thing that's hilarious about Acosta, you and I both, I'm sure, probably me more than you because I'm not as nice as you, have to deal with a lot of crap on social media. You put yourself out there, people are going to go after you. Acosta locks all his comments because he's so stupid. He thinks he could transfer his CNN show to the internet and social media and have it go over. It's like it's not. The dynamic is very different because what we have to deal with is back and forth. Now people feel involved. They like to talk. They like to comment back. It's not always nice. Acosta locks his comments. It's just a broadcast, and it's like that would make sense on a TV because you can't really talk back to the TV. Sorry, boomers. But on social media, that's not a thing. And I think he's dug himself into a hole, but he's too arrogant and stupid to understand it. And one more thing, I've always said that corporate journalists are literal demons, which are entities that are only human in a biological sense. And this is what I mean. Like you look at this and like this is not human behavior. This is something far more pernicious and sinister because if like 5 years ago, if I told you this was going to happen, you would think I was trolling you.
Right. But that's, I mean, what worries me is that the temptation, we can all be really uncomfortable. Like we see this and we're like, dude, that's messed up. You shouldn't have done it. Doesn't matter if you're like Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, anarchist, whatever. You watch that and you're like, dude, stop. And then we just keep marching towards quote unquote progress and letting this stuff happen because the temptation is like so seductive. There are people who are in chatbot conversations with their deceased loved ones whose stuff was fed into the AI, emails, text messages, voices, video, fed into an AI, and it's going to get so much more advanced so quickly. I just don't know if we can kind of withstand the temptations.
Well, I am also very concerned, as I'm sure you are, and most people see this. I think it's very underreported and rated as an issue how many people are very alone and lonely. In America, I can't speak for the rest of the world. There's a lot of people in this country who, if someone in their family died, wouldn't have one person to call to have comfort. And I think social media furthers that sense of isolation. Plus, when you're a guy and you're completely alone, it's a joke. Haha, you're a loser. Oh, you can't get laid. Oh my God, you're pathetic. End yourself. And it's like, there's a lot of quality guys and women who are very alone and they don't know why, and they're not doing anything wrong. And if they're like, why am I feel this way? I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not a jerk. They want to make that connection desperately. They don't know how. And it's kind of just swept under the rug. And I think that this is kind of like lefty talk, but like, the corporate media and social media has this false sense of relationships. But if you don't talk to a single person, during the day that you have any kind of relationship with, human beings are social animals. That messes with your head. And that's, I think, part of this. Are you going to become friends with like an avatar of Siri or whatever the analogous version of that is? That's what I'm very worried about. And it doesn't end well.
Over the years, I hope I've been clear about this. I'm not just pro-birth, I'm pro-life. And being pro-life, of course, means standing with mothers not only before their baby is born, but long after. And that is exactly why I partner with Preborn. Preborn is awesome. They don't just save babies, they make motherhood abundantly possible. They provide free ultrasounds and share the truth of the gospel with women in crisis. And then they stay. How great is that? With real practical help. They are there, including financial support for up to 2 years after the baby is born. I say again, how awesome is that? And here's where you can make a difference. Just $28 provides a free life-saving ultrasound. One chance for a mother to see her baby. And when she does, she is twice as likely to choose life. It is incredibly powerful. Preborn is trying to save 70,000 babies this year. This is what true Christ-centered compassion looks like, not just for the baby, but for the mother too. So don't just say you're pro-life, live it. Help save babies and support mothers today. Go to preborn.com/Emily or call 855-601-2229. That's preborn.com/Emily.